Alright guys, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to this Conquest Showdown. It's going to be myself with the Dark Elves and Marathi facing off against the High Elves, who shall be helmed by Tsu Sung Shi here on the Cliff of Beasts. Nice open map. Going to be plenty of arrows flying because they don't have the superior Dwarven gunpowder, but you know, it is what it is. Now, as far as my build goes, frontline is going to be Bleak Swords. Bleak Swords will trade pretty well into, spears and rangers and things like that. They have an okay stat line, not the best HP, but, for the cost, they don't do badly. And I don't want to put anything in super good quality in the front line. High Elves do a very cost-effective AP via the White Lions, Narnia Lions, and some good magic to boot. So I figured throwing some trash in the front and using one of the coolest units on the Dark Elf roster, the Dark Shards with Shields, one of them, I'm probably one of the most iconic as well, but these guys aren't bad. Silver shields against the Elven archers, and on top of that, they do of course have huge armor piercing, can bring down heavy cavalry, monsters, you name it, if they are left to their own devices. So we got 4 Dark Shards backed up by a Blood Rack Medusa. So not only is this thing a decent anti-large fighter that can help fight off SEs if need be, but its laser beam eyes do great damage against elite cavalry, whether it be Silver Helms or Dragon Princes, and they can also wreck infantry super badly. I mean, killing infantry is their main thing, but yeah, good dual purpose, or I should say tri-purpose out of those. On the flanks, we do have some Dark Riders as well as Cold One Knights. Cold One Knights are pretty amazing in this matchup. They will defeat most of the Elven cavalry, and even if they do fight Dragon Princes, for example, which are much more expensive, they trade up into those units very, very well, especially when you have Marathi nearby. Now, Marathi, I don't know if she's the most meta choice in this matchup. I think if you were playing really meta, you probably would use, a Sorceress on a Black Dragon, maybe, I don't know, Malekith used to be, but yeah, probably the Sorceress on the Black Dragon, which is super lame, but Marathi brings a lot to the table. She does have the Heart Render and the Dark Sword, as well as Enchanting Beauty, so she's going to be lowering the melee attack of anything near her by 10, which is pretty crazy good, right? Very similar to the Dwarven ROR, but the Dwarven ROR is probably, honestly, a little bit better. Those things are insane, but yeah, it's a good combination. She does have good spells. Soul Stealer is great at punishing blobs. Melkoth is really good against elite infantry and whatnot, and she definitely knows how to party it up. So Cold One Knights here are going to be protecting the backfield, and that is it for me. For my opponent, he does have a full battle line of White Lines of Grace, Narnia Lines to rip through my infantry, some Storm Riders on the flank, Imric, and it's a very, very cool build. His caster, I believe, is a high caster, which is a good choice. Tempest to drag Marathi out of the skies, and, if the dragon is meta, the Black Dragon, having the big old, not Soul Stealer, but the Tempest on that is great, right? And also Apotheosis to heal up Imric is quite good. So we're going to be preparing for the charge here. The Narnia Line's going to be screaming in the front, so that is going to be some big old pressure, as Narnia Lines will rip apart the Bleak Swords pretty effectively. But the Dark Shard fire has begun. We're ripping some shots into the advancing Silver Helms, but they do have a downhill charge, and it's going to be very devastating. These are not spears, and they're going to have a terrible time of this. So I just give the charge at the last second. I'm like, just end me, bro. Put me out of my misery. So we move in, and we do counter with the Melkoth to punish those guys. Meanwhile, the Cold One Knights are going to be retreating back and preparing to battle against the War Lions of Grace. And they should win that fight, but even still, they will take some damage in the process. But the Dark Shard fire is starting to saturate in. As you can see, oh my god, the Medusa shot. Big damage against those White Lines there. And now we're going to be restructuring our cab, pulling them across as the Vuvuzela of the Gods goes down. So the Dragon Horn of Imric has descended. Meanwhile, a fight that we were winning here pretty decisively is going to have its momentum shifted here by the Lord of Dragons coming in. And also some Ranger Infantry going to be piling in, and they are going to be sauced up by the Dragon Horn as well, so big melee attack buff. And Marathi being the very, I would say very cautious ruler here, is going to be pulling back and not dying with her people. She's no Karl Franz. So she's going to be fleeing the scene. Meanwhile, my flank here is busted open a little bit. Bleak Swords got crushed. One unit of Dark Shards got punished a little bit. And the other Narnia Lines do attempt to get through, but they are intercepted by some of my cavalry here, so the Dark Riders as well as the Blood Rack Medusa. We are able to punish those. So this flank is going very well for me. The Dark Shards are able to rip apart most of the infantry, and they do really well at shooting at things in combat compared to gun units. All jokes aside, that is one of the things that Elves do a lot better than gunpowder factions, is their archers can actually shoot things in combat better. And it's kind of reflected in tabletop as well with the volley fire mechanic. But there is a Soul Quench going down. Not bad damage against these Shards of Darkness. Rangers going to be diving into my secondary, so there's a hell of a lot of Rangers here. Dark Riders chasing down the War Lines here. And now the Murderous Prowess is active, so it's my time to party. Marathi going to be dropping a Soul Stealer. She tried to pick a fight with Imric, which certainly didn't feel good, but thankfully I do get the Soul Stealer down before he gets the Tempest. So I'm probably, otherwise I could have been in a really dangerous situation here, maybe even broken. But Marathi is going to be on the run, and out of desperation, I use a Melkoth on top of Imric to slow him down so he can't catch me as easily. Just pure desperation, because Marathi get worked on here, and she would definitely lose that fight. Imric is one of the scariest fighters in the entire game, so we don't want any of that smoke, as the kids would say. Here, the Dark Shard lines, though, are getting great shots. But unfortunately, I'm about to be scattered a little bit as the Rangers are going to be changing their trajectory to start chasing down the Dark Shards. And they had an attack order on these Rangers, but they started charging them for some reason, even though they were shooting. It was a very weird one. Imric going to be getting a little bit of a heal here via Apotheosis. Dark Shards had done a lot of damage to him, and now he's going to be moving in to shut down one of the natural predators to him. The Medusa over here and the Dark Riders trying to take out whatever they can. My game plan overall in this match is to kill everything, and leave Imric for last. Maybe I could even army loss him without having to deal with it. But the bounce bar is very even, and as far as the objective goes, it is owned by me, which is good. Here comes an Elkoths. The Medusa does cause terror, if I'm not mistaken. It looks super, super cool. I wonder how good Medusas are in tabletop. I'm going to have to take a look at those. The Dark Elves are definitely an army I'd be very interested in starting. I think they're super fun. And here, the Medusa is able to rip apart a lot of these units, and the old Storm Riders are going to be forced back. Now, we do see Morathi running in circles, doing what she does best, flying around and cackling and enchanting all of these folks with her beauty, even the lions. And here, the Dark Rider repeater crossbows. We need to kind of force a bit of a triangle position around these guys. Whichever one they're chasing, we run with the other ones, and we shoot down these Rangers. Medusa is going to be coming in. I do see the High Mage here, so the High Mage is a pretty good opportunity for Morathi to come in and fight. Meanwhile, Imric getting a beautiful breath attack on my Dark Shards here. Great play from my opponent right there. Certainly going to be melting, and then the Dragon's going to come in, get the route, and they are going to be in the trash can a little bit. But I will be responding with a pick of my own. The Medusa gets on top of the Mage, and Morathi going to be coming in for the degenerate Dark Elf backstab, which is, of course, very lore accurate, I would say. We are getting some good damage on the Mage, probably going to be able to break it. In the meantime, the rest of the army of my opponent starting to break up. There's not too much left. We do have the Rangers over here. Imric, Lord of Dragons, does break back the Dark Shards, but I have repeater crossbows. Both these Dark Shard units probably will, stabilize and rally at some point. I have another Dark Shard right here, all of whom can really crossfire Imric pretty effectively. And the Bloodbrack Medusa would get massacred by Imric, but it's still going to be able to fight him. And a laser beam right to the face, and now he comes in with his Star Lance active, an erect 693, huge charge bonus. But the Soul Stealer going down, going to start draining his HP, and all of that armor-piercing firepower. So good and tasty. Bloodbrack Medusa with the halberd, going to be shanking into the big old Imric here, and the shanks are popping off. It's not doing bad at all. Cold Blue Knight's going to be coming over to try and help a little bit, but it is getting danger close to army losses as we do manage to kite out these Rangers right here, so they're probably going to be in the can, and Imric is just simply isn't going to be able to solo everything. The High Mage does get broken, and that is going to be GG well played. Army losses here for the High Elves. And hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. Definitely fun using Morathi. I think she's great. I think a really, really good lord. Maybe just overshadowed by some of the other options. But yeah, solid combat piece. She can really turn the tide of fights. Like if you have a Cold Moon Knight fighting a Dragon Prince, for example, or like Fireborn, she can come in, drop a Melkoth, lower their melee attack by 10, and then suddenly that's a fight you're winning very decisively or trading very, very well into, right? Dark Shard 1600, some of them did well, as expected. Medusa held its own. Cold Moon Knights, we have 1200 here, 400 here. So yeah, pretty concerted, balanced effort, I should say, across my entire army. Imric did well. The Narnia lines got shut down by my cavalry pretty hard. Rangers did all right. Not a lot of big breadwinners in my opponent's army. Mainly was the Imric show, which isn't uncommon per se, but it wasn't quite enough. He needed a couple other units in his army to really perform a little bit better, and that was it. Maybe some like light reavers could have been good too. Like, because I only had 2 cav. If he had like the swarm like he had, like how would you do that? Maybe you cut the white lions and cut the Storm Riders. They just feel kind of useless here, and then max out on Lyrian Reavers, get like 3 or 4 of those, swarm my Dark Shard, shut down my backfield, then I think he wins the game, right? So just an idea. All right, folks, that's it. Take care of yourself. See you around, and the Elven Civil War is over.